This is my second in a new series I'm doing with this little digital recorder, my audio blog, forinfowars.com and prisonplanet.com. It is the 10th day of January 2009 on this Saturday, and I want to cover several extremely important issues. First off, the nation in the last week has been rocked by the shooting of 22-year-old father Oscar Grant cold-bloodedly in the back by this police officer, Johannes Merciful. And this Johannes character cold-bloodedly pulls out his handgun while Oscar Grant, who clearly doesn't resist on the video, is shot in the back. The bullet goes through his body, bounces back up from the concrete, back into him, and shreds his lungs. So it was equivalent of being shot twice. There's a lot of horrible facets to all of this, but the first few days after it happened, I reserved judgment on it because I wanted to see what came out of the case. At first, it was just another tragic police shooting. But there's been some new big developments, and that's why I'm doing this audio blog right now. First off, just briefly going through what happened. These fellas are out to see the fireworks display in the Bay Area. They get on the BART system that's in Oakland and San Francisco and surrounding cities. It has close to 900 officers. There's some type of argument on the train that's reported. When the police show up and the people get off the train, they have them sit out on the ground. The police are screaming and yelling at them, getting in their faces. The men from the videos are putting out their hands, palms up, saying, "Hey, come on, please, we have children, we're nice." The police are threatening to taser them for no reason, enjoying their petty power trip. And we now have 3 separate videos shot. The police were not successful in confiscating all the video, and that's a whole other issue. For the first 3 days, they said there were no videos. They were lying. They'd confiscated 2 they knew of from people's cell phone cameras. They had claimed that the DART cameras that were there at that train stop, at the subway stop, had not videoed anything. They claimed they weren't hooked up to recorders. But we know they were lying about there being no recordings because they confiscated them from citizens. But thank God, the first video that came out was folks in another train that stopped at the same station, and people inside the train shot video out the window of the whole altercation. Then another video came out on the platform from about 20 feet away that was even clearer. Now a third video has come out. And this caught the police lying. Not only had they cold-bloodedly killed this guy, but standard operating procedure, they lied and implied that he was scuffling or resisting, and then, quote, "a gun went off, we don't know what happened." And so expanding on that, now this third video has come out, and it is the closest to the shooting, and it is the clearest, and it is just absolutely horrific. It shook me to my core last night when I saw it, and I watched it again this morning. We have it posted up on the websites. It's all over the web. If you want to go to YouTube or Google video, you can see it. And here's the new issue, and this is why I'm 100 times more outraged than I was before about the police lying and the cold-blooded shooting and their spin that it was taser confusion. I'm sure that that's a fraud now, because with this clear video, ladies and gentlemen, he is not resisting in any way. They grab him, they slam him down on the ground, they shoot him in the back, and then this Johannes character, this monster, grabs him aggressively, turns him over, is screaming at him and threatening him, clear on the tape, after he's already shot him through the back, and the bullet has bounced back up into his chest, shredding his lungs. So he's been shot twice by one bullet, ricocheting. Again, first he pumps it right straight into his back from about 2 feet away, then it bounces back up into him. And then the officer, before the person freaks out and stops taping. This has happened to me many times. You'll see something so incredible while you're videotaping that you'll drop the camera. Well, the guy drops the camera because he's so amazed. But in the time that we see it, he grabs the poor guy, turns him over, and it's not enough that he's just killed him, and he's going to be dying soon. the man he shot, despite the fact that he's shredded full of holes, just puts his hands out and is begging, and it confirms what witnesses had all reported, that he was saying, I have a young child, please don't kill me. And, of course, the life's just pouring out of him at that point. He may have lived if it wasn't for the trauma of being turned over and being screamed at and being confronted by the predator after he's already had his chest totally torn open and his lungs shredded. So it's not bad enough that they haven't charged the officer and it looks like nothing's going to happen to him. It's not bad enough that they lied and covered it up. Now we have the up-close video with the audio, and the officer becomes enraged with his victim and continues turning him over, screaming at him, yelling at him, while the man begs with his hands up. In fact, he even raises up on one hand behind him, you can see, and is begging, and then, of course, collapses back down and the video cuts. So, I'm just speechless. I mean, this speaks to our entire society. The DART transit police are covering all this up. They're in the news saying, well, since he resigned, it's not in our jurisdiction anymore and we don't have an issue. As if a murder isn't in the jurisdiction of the county and the city, and they're claiming their hands are washed and that nothing's going to happen to the officer now because he, quote, resigned. The media is acting like the rioters are bad. God bless these rioters. I mean, they haven't lost their humanity. They haven't lost their soul. They haven't been totally conditioned to be jellyfish to put up with all these things that are happening. They're standing up to the system. You know, this type of stuff happened in 1775, and it caused a total revolution. And this is tyranny on its face. It's not just that this officer is some type of crazed maniac and shoots this person with wounds that later killed him, but that he attacks him and screams at him and lifts him up and threatens him as the guy is begging after he's already shot him. They then have this penchant for handcuffing people after they kill them, and reportedly they did that as well, and then later the paramedics demanded that it be taken off of him, and then there's this famous video of them taking him out saying, come on, Oscar, fight. But it's just the overall issue that they tried to cover it up. They lied and tried to claim he resisted or scuffled and that the gun accidentally went off. That they said there were no videotapes. And then now we get 3 separate tapes. And on that tape you can see other people taping, so I'm sure more cameras are going to surface as people are scared. And they just don't care. This is the arrogance of corruption and tyranny, where they just don't care. And I've seen news reports in Iraq where they tell all the troops to carry throwaway guns because they'll get jumpy and just shoot a whole crowd at a checkpoint or shoot a family, and then they just drop a gun on them. And that's what's happening now. Hundreds of thousands of these troops are coming back. There have been 2, 3, 4, 5 tours. Their minds are completely blown with PTSD. And they're on hairline triggers, and we see every day about soldiers coming home and killing their families, or cops who were soldiers, you know, breaking down and killing their families, or going on shooting sprees. This is a massive crisis, and I don't know if this Johannes guy is a veteran. I don't know what's happening, but I've just seen the police department, the DART transit police, say, well, his lawyer wouldn't talk to us, and he'd never show up for the interviews with us about what happened, so now he's resigned, and now that's basically it. It's not in our jurisdiction. And he's going to go free. Nothing's going to happen to him. Maybe now because of the riotings, the national outrage, maybe something will happen. But the other issue here is we need to have an investigation by the state police, whoever, but that's the Fox Guard and the hen house, of why DART lied and said they didn't have any tapes, why they lied and said that the man had resisted, why they lied for 3 or 4 days and said they didn't know what had happened still. This is just outrageous that they shoot him. It bounces back up through his body, goes through his body, hits the concrete, bounces back up into him, and then this guy aggressively is yelling at him and flips him over, and you know, poor Oscar Grant is pushing his hands out, begging, saying, please don't kill me. I have a small child. And we already knew that had happened because the witnesses' story, there's a whole bunch of them, were all 100% accurate the first 3 days before the video came out, Friday night through Monday. And then, as usual, the police story is 100% lie. just over and over again. So their Big Brother cameras are actually backfiring on them. That's why they want to shut down the free internet and move us to Internet 2, where they can control what's allowed to be posted and what isn't posted. But my prayers go out to the family, and I hope they win more than $25 million, because the city will just raise taxes on the public and squeeze it out of them and pop a few more people to get money. I hope and I pray that somehow the establishment be moved to realize how arrogant they are and how bad this looks, and that they do justice and indict this person. And I don't believe it's manslaughter. I'd said earlier in the week, in the benefit of the doubt, maybe it was a mistake, maybe he thought it was his taser. Now it's clearly capital murder. It is premeditated. There's a lot of psychopaths get on the police force. They want to kill. They brag about killing. There's been a lot of books written about that. A lot of police I've talked to have talked about that. It may only be 10% of the force.